Hi guys, welcome back to my channel and welcome to today's video where we're going to be discussing alcohol and type 1 diabetes. Now I know this is one kind of big concern for a lot of people when you're first diagnosed is, can you still go out and drink with your friends? And the answer is yes, you definitely can. There are just a lot of things you will need to take into consideration before drinking, during drinking and after drinking, which I will take you through on this video. One thing I just want to make really clear is that you can still enjoy your life like anyone else as a diabetic, but when it comes to alcohol, you just need to be sensible. But we should all be sensible with alcohol anyway, so that's just that. If you do want to check out one of my 5 T1D tips videos, I did a brief summary of alcohol and diabetes and a few basic tips in there, but I thought on this video I would go in really in depth onto the effects of alcohol on blood sugars and my exact routine before, during and after a night out, and just go into a couple of different scenarios that can arise with alcohol and how I would handle each of them. So background basics 101, alcohol. The alcohol in alcoholic drinks will lower your blood sugar in the long term, but this tends to be a couple of hours after you've consumed them. But almost every alcoholic drink has at least some sugar or carbs in it, and obviously some are more sugary than others. So a spirit with a sugar-free mixer is your best option with type 1 diabetes. And cocktails and wine and beer and that kind of thing have a lot more carbs in and can be more tricky to handle, but you can still enjoy them, and I am going to tell you exactly how. So I thought I would break this video down into 2 different situations, because obviously alcohol isn't just like, you don't always drink alcohol in the same way. You have alcohol in different types of situations. So the first alcoholic situation I would like to discuss is just like casual drinking. So if you're having like a glass of wine or 2 with dinner, or just going to the pub with your friends for like a calm night out, any situation where you're having kind of 1 to 3 alcoholic drinks, I would say the alcohol in this situation isn't really going to have that much of a lowering effect on your blood sugar, but the carbohydrates will raise your blood sugar quite a lot, specifically if you're drinking wine and cocktails. So in this kind of situation where it's like a calm night and you're just enjoying a glass or 2, I would kind of mostly forget about the fact that these drinks are alcoholic and mainly just think of them as drinks with carbohydrates in. So as a rough guide, a medium glass of wine can have anywhere from 3 to 15 grams of sugar or carbs, and cocktails can have much more, particularly if they are fruit juice based cocktails. They will absolutely make your blood sugars spike, and they can make them spike very quickly and very high. So in this situation I would bolus as normal for the amount of carbs in the drink. If you have a specific cocktail, I would just Google the carbohydrate count in that cocktail on average, look up a couple of different results, because obviously they're not identical in different bars and that kind of thing, but you can get a rough idea. And then wine, you can just Google carbs in a certain, well, you can either do just like by the type of wine, so rosé, white or red, to get a very general overview, or you can look up the specific type of wine and look up the carbs for that, and that is all available on Google. And I would just inject for those carbs. If I'm having it kind of with dinner, I would just inject for the alcohol when I do my pre-bolus for dinner. If I'm going to the pub, I will just inject when I order a drink and then just wait a couple of minutes before I start drinking. But yeah, like I said, in that kind of situation, because it's not so much alcohol, personally for me, my blood sugars don't tend to drop later on. I would, however, though, just keep an eye on it, especially the first few times of drinking, so that you can understand how your body reacts, because like I always say, everybody's body is different and everybody's diabetes is different, and so your diabetes might react a different way. And then the second situation I want to discuss is kind of like a heavy drinking night, like house party, club night, any situation where you're going to be drinking a large amount of alcohol and you would class yourself as drunk, like you've passed the point of tipsy and you're drunk. This is when you need to pay a lot of attention to your blood sugars, which is easier said than done when you're drunk, but you need to do it. A large volume of alcohol, like I've said 100 times now, will reduce your blood sugar overnight. So you need to eat something either before or during drinking, like après, to make sure that you don't crash later on. Before drinking, will inject, as I normally would do, for the amount of carbs in the snack, but I don't tend to inject for the sugar in the alcoholic drinks, because I will generally stick to a sugar-free mixer and a spirit. If I'm having something that's not sugar-free, I will then inject for the carbs in that, but if I know I'm going to be drinking a lot, I won't inject for the carbs in the drink, I'll just inject for the carbs in my food, and that tends to work for me. But again, like I said, different things work for different people, so you'll need to keep an eye and experiment. So I thought I would just kind of take you along my journey of a night out and explain all of the things I do for my diabetes along the way, so you can kind of tick them off as you're going. So like I said, begin with eating something before and inject for the carbs as normal. Then when you are getting ready, there are two things you need to remember, and they are vital. Pack your hypo snacks in your handbag or your pockets or a friend's bag, but make sure you do not lose that friend. Not that you should lose them anyway, but you know what I'm saying. And secondly, make sure you are wearing a medical alert something. So I have a bracelet, which I really, really love, or you can get like straps to go on your watch, or a necklace, or a medical alert piece of something that will tell people that you have diabetes. I will leave some links to some ones that I really like down below in the description box, but it's so important on a night out to have your medical alert, because having a hypo can often really look like you're drunk, and if you're a bouncer in a club and you just see someone slurring their words and wobbling around and just looking like a general tit, then you're just going to kick them out or just assume they're drunk and not know that they're diabetic, because why would you? You see these, like, everyone else around is doing the same thing, and if you get kicked out of a club while you are hypo, that is incredibly dangerous. So please take your medical alert jewelry or items with you on a night out. Also, before you go out, if you are someone who does manual injections rather than having a pump, and if you do 2 injections a day or you have your injection in the evening, make sure you do your basal injection before you go out. I used to be really bad and do it when I got in, which number 1 leaves room to forget, and number 2 leaves hours and hours and hours without any basal insulin, because I would tend to do it kind of at 9 to 10 p.m. normally, and then if I don't get back from a night out until 4 a.m, that's like 6 hours with no basal insulin, which is just stupid. So either take your basal out with you and remember to do it when you're out, but I still think that leaves a lot of room to forget, or just do it before you go, but either way, just make sure you do it. Some people do prefer to lower their basal insulin doses when they know they're going to be out drinking like that because of the effects of alcohol. I personally don't lower my basal, and I tackle the sugar in a different way, which I'm going to explain shortly. But just be aware there are those options, and you may need to experiment or discuss with your diabetes team which option is best for you. Then when you are on your night out, please enjoy yourself, but also don't forget that you're diabetic. Especially for the first few times, make sure you're checking your blood sugar regularly. If you are high, correct it. I generally will use like half of a correction dose to normal, because like I said, alcohol reduces your blood sugar. But so for example, say I was a bit high and normally I would inject 3 units for whatever my blood sugar was, I would then inject either 1 or 2 depending on what I was drinking at the time and how long I thought I was going to be out for and when I'm next going to eat and that kind of thing. So do it kind of intuitively, but don't just leave the high blood sugars thinking that the alcohol will bring it down, because it won't bring it down all by itself. Alcohol isn't a fix for a broken pancreas, I am sorry. You do still need to take your insulin and correct high blood sugars, but just be careful not to overcorrect, because alcohol brings your blood sugars down. But also, if you're out clubbing, you're going to be moving around. I hope you're going to be dancing and throwing some moves, and that will also obviously kind of be like a bit of exercise and reduce your blood sugar as well. So there is a lot of potential for hypos, but just don't let yourself run too high as an overcompensation for that. And when you get home, make sure to have a big glass of water. I'm sure most people do this anyway because it helps with the hangover, but it also really helps with your blood sugars if you are nice and hydrated. So drink up a nice big glass of water as much as you can without feeling ill, and check your blood sugars 100%. But then something I do to prevent crashing overnight, and I've kind of tried and tested this, and this has worked best for me over the last 4 or 5 years of drinking. and that is I have a snack before I go to bed. Not anything massive, just like a cereal bar, but something that's got a decent amount of carbs in. But then I only inject for half of the carbs in the snack that I'm going to be having, and any correction, again, I do a half amount. So say I needed like 2 units of correction and I was having a snack which needed 4 units of insulin, that's 6 units altogether, but I would only inject 3, and generally that held me really steady. Once I've done my basal before I go on my night out, have a snack, have half my units of insulin, and that tends to keep my sugars nice and happy. Then in the morning, I always make sure to tell, well actually this is kind of a step before the night out, but it happens in the morning, but before the night out, let people know, someone that you live with, or if you don't live with anyone, someone that is happy to phone you, what kind of time you expect you will be up and about, so that they know if you're not kind of emerging from your room. Either you're just really hungover still, or there's a chance you could have gone low in the night and you need waking up. I know it's really annoying, but especially for the first couple of times, you should probably just set an alarm to wake you up, just to check your blood sugars. Do your morning basal injection if you are someone on manual injections, and just to make sure that you're safe, because there is such a high chance of a hypo, and if you are under the influence of alcohol, you are much less likely to actually wake up from a hypo, and that's just a very dangerous area to be in. So until you know what you're doing, set an alarm, tell people when they should expect to see you and what time they should start to panic if they haven't heard from you. Even if you just like wake up, send someone a text, just say like, hi, I'm fine, and then everyone knows you're safe, you know you're safe, and you can go back to bed if you want. Then for the next morning, if you have had a really heavy night, like it's your birthday, that kind of situation, there is a chance that the alcohol will continue to have a bit of an effect even the morning after. So I found after a couple of nights when I've drunk a lot that my blood sugar will still drop a lot in the morning. So if I've woken up and I kind of feel that I drank too much last night, I then also reduce my insulin for breakfast. So I keep my basal insulin the same always, but I will reduce my bolus insulin for breakfast. I reduce it by half, well, depending on how like hungover I'm feeling and getting a hint of how much alcohol I've had the night before. I will reduce it by anywhere up to half, but you can experiment with this. Again, like I said, it's all trial and error really, until I know where my blood sugars are at. If I go low still after that, then I know that I really don't need much insulin for the next few hours. If I go high, then I will just have a bit more insulin, and again, just play it by ear. And then at lunch, I'll do the same. If the 50% worked at breakfast, then I'll do 50% again at lunch, until all of the alcohol is out of my system. And you'll know when it's all out of your system, because your blood sugar will be back to normal and you won't have the swings and hypos when you shouldn't be having hypos. And other than that, just make sure to keep an eye on your blood sugars throughout the day. The next day after having a heavy night out, do maybe double the amount of checks you normally would do. I know that's super annoying, but again, you just want to be safe, and I don't want anyone here to be having like a horrible day when you're so hungover and then you also have like 3 or 4 hypos. Let me tell you, that's happened to me, and let me tell you, it is disgusting. You want to die. It is horrible. So I'm just trying to save you from that. As a summary, to save you from the hellish hangover hypo, just discuss all of this with your clinicians. Like I always say, I'm not a medical professional. I am providing advice from my own personal experiences, and kind of just want you to take this to your healthcare team and see what they say will work for you. You will eventually become more and more in tune with your body and how you react to alcohol. Just be careful, take it easy the first few times, make sure people are aware, make sure there's someone trusted that knows you and your condition, that is aware that you are going to be drinking alcohol, and just be safe but also enjoy yourself. That is it for today's video. I hope you guys feel reassured that you can still enjoy yourself and have a few cheeky drinks with your friends even though you have type 1 diabetes. It is completely manageable. You just need to check off a few things on the list and take care of yourself as you go. If you did enjoy this video, if it's been useful and informative, please give it a like, because it really helps me to know what kind of videos you guys are enjoying seeing, and I can know what videos to make for you in the future. But for now, that is it from me. I hope you guys enjoy your day and have a fab next drink, whenever that may be, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!